Good morning, everyone. This is Ayana, your transformation health coach. And I just wanted to check in with everyone because, it's early in the morning. And normally I only record myself this early in the morning for like a workout Wednesday, like I did yesterday. So you can check that out. But after what happened yesterday, I really feel like I need to respond to it. I know that there are probably a lot of emotions going on right now and a lot of reaction and probably a lot of shock. I know for me there was. If you don't know, then you might be under a rock, and that's okay. But the Capitol of this country was attacked. The Capitol building was attacked with Congress in full session, meeting to certify the election of Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. And now, I think most of us, or so many of us, have probably seen the images in the video by now, and it's really hard. It's challenging, and so much of the work that I do with people is about our mindsets, because I genuinely believe that if our mindsets are not okay, if we're not in an emotionally resilient place, if we don't feel motivated, it's hard for us to achieve what we want out of this life. And so part of that means it's like, talking about these things as they come up, because they do affect us. And watching those videos yesterday was really difficult for me and shocking. Shocking on one level, but also not shocking, right? And I think I'm hearing a lot of similar emotions when I talk to friends and family members and loved ones. I think a lot of people are feeling like the level of hate and the level of rhetoric was going to get us to a place where we were, where we've been experiencing more violence in the past couple of years. And I think that, but just, experiencing it on the Capitol building was a big deal and was huge. And it seems like all of the experts who have been assessing this, experts in government, experts in leadership, have been calling this a coup attempt because of Donald Trump's words and inciting people to march on the Capitol just like an hour or so before all of this went down. And that, for me is, disturbing. But I also have to say, as somebody who's been following the news, I do believe that it was, even though I don't know if the people who stormed the Capitol building if how much thought was put into it beforehand or whether or not it was well coordinated or executed. I think what folks went down there to do, some folks, the folks who actually busted into the Capitol building, I think that they went down there trying to reverse course of the election on behalf of Donald Trump. And that is what we would call an attempted coup. So however, maybe it was in that moment that folks decided to go down there. I don't know how well planned or organized all of that was, but I believe that that's what that was. And that's what a lot of experts are saying based on the evidence of what happened and based on the things that they were saying, going in there, holding American flags, holding Confederate flags. And just also on a personal note, as a woman of color, it feels very frightening. I have felt that in this time of Donald Trump, there's been a lot of persecution and hate that has been encouraged to flow. And instead of us for me, I care very deeply. I believe in all humanity. I'm an eternal optimist. I believe in humanity. I believe that we can work through this, even this time. But I do believe that we have to come to truth. And so for people who feel, we first have to tell the truth about who it is that our president is and kind of what his rhetoric has been, what he has enabled and allowed people to do and given voice to. It doesn't mean that, that I believe he's evil. It doesn't mean that I believe that his supporters are evil. I don't believe that. I believe in humanity first and foremost, and I believe that we can all change and grow. But we have to tell the truth about what happened yesterday and how important and how symbolic it was. People went in there shouting 1776. They went in there with Confederate flags, Trump flags, and nobody had pierced that building since 1812. We also have to be honest about the fact that the response to Black Lives Matter during the summer was way bigger than it was to these people who actually made it into the Capitol building, that 4 people died. And so when we ask ourselves, I know that many of us have kind of normalized ourselves to some of the rhetoric we've been hearing because it's a survival mechanism. to help keep us sane and functioning through our days. And I get that because I'm a part of that. But this is what happens. And this is what it has led to. And the good news is, though, is that I don't believe, so while we are dealing with that reckoning, and I do this in my own personal life too, when there's a problem in my life or a problem in my own spirit, if I'm having issues, I first have to recognize that that issue is happening. I have to be truthful. I have to be honest about what it is. I have to diagnose it. And if I can't diagnose it myself, I get help, from a coach or a therapist or someone else. And that's what's going on in this country right now, is that I think we are in a moment where I hope truth telling is coming and truth accepting. Because once we do that, once we go through that painful process of being truthful about how we all, feed in to this, whether it's, if you voted for Trump, how it is, even if you said to yourself that it wasn't because he was, says racist things or that you disagree with X, Y, Z, you were still willing to support someone who espouses those things and believes in those things. And here's the thing, I don't hate you for it, but it does require truth-telling and honesty, right? And for us to look deeper within before we can move forward, right? And the other part of that too is, that for people who did not vote for Trump and who really disagree with Trump, but who've also said negative things about Trump supporters. I think, who say things like that, these people, anybody who is looking at another group of people with the "these people" label is only pushing that other group of people away. So if our intention is to rally and is to get together and is to not have civil war, because really, if we study history, all of these things that are happening right now are very reminiscent of are things that happened pre-war, whether we think of World War II, whether we think of, Civil War, just all of these different, this is how conflict grows and grows. So we have an opportunity to stop it here. And I do feel hopeful. I'm hopeful. Like, I know after all I said, it sounds crazy to say that I feel hopeful, but I do, because, we're in a space where we can see everything happening and playing out. I really hope that those images yesterday were shocking. I hope that they have, that they were shocking enough to have us all come to an epiphany about what it is that we can do to bring peace. And it doesn't mean that we have to like everyone. It doesn't mean that we have to agree with each other's positions on things, but to see our humanity. And maybe it's also because I'm a teacher and I've seen students, I've seen people change. I've taught, mostly Black and brown students, but I've taught, white students who didn't know, who just because of the color of their skin and the different experience they'd had and been raised with, were not aware of what prejudice feels like and what it feels like to have privilege, and not throwing it in people's faces in a blamey way. That's not a word, but you get what I'm saying. But in a way that is instructive, in a way that is meant to heal, in a way that is meant to say, here's the truth. Now, let's move forward. Let's do something different with this truth. Now that we know this, let's accept this hard truth about ourselves, no matter what that hard truth is. If I'm on the side of I disagree with Trump, but I'm also espousing hate, if I'm espousing, just tear them all down. And here's the thing about that. I know that this is hard work. I know that this is a lot to ask. And so this is not, this may not be something that you are in a place where you're ready to do. But once we heal, we have to start to see each other's humanity. You don't have to be the one to go out there and do that healing work if that's not for you, if that's not the place that you're in. You can be honest about what it is that you can and cannot give. Maybe all you can do is just keep living your life, and that's okay. But we just have to recognize how our rhetoric, how our mindset is contributing to this or not. And I genuinely am thankful that Donald Trump is on his way out, because I think he just sows the seeds of this. And I do believe that we can move forward from this in a much better way. I hope you guys all have a wonderful day. You deserve peace. You deserve emotional resiliency. Do everything you need to take care of yourself today. All right. And thank you for letting me react to this, just still recovering from it myself.